No applause necessary. This is, I think, now my 6th event in the last week, and it's pretty overwhelming, really. Like to write a book and all that kind of stuff. Wow, I'm writing these columns and I was writing these stories and putting this thing together, and you do it alone. You write alone. It's that one thing. I can be sitting next to my wife and daughters, or on a plane, or on a tour bus, or at a rehearsal in the studio writing, but you're still alone, and you're in this. You're in your Mac, and you're on your Word document, and you write this, either a joyous story or a dark story, and in between stories, and then they go into you put save, and they go into this file, and my files went to this editor guy who would send me a text on my BlackBerry going, okay, paragraph 5 of document 22. What did that look like? But he was my editor at Playboy, so we had this working relationship. Anyhow, long story short is, I did it alone, like with one other guy who was reading my words. And then my wife would read some stuff once in a while, and she'd go, that's pretty dark, no wonder you're kind of an ass. And, but now, so then it kind of, went to the stage of going to the book. People were, book companies were reading this 18,000 word thing I had. So there was a bit more people were reading. But now the book actually is out, and I had the whole document done, and we edited it, and it came out. And then I saw the cover, and then okay, shit, and it's really going to come out. But it's been overwhelming, like seeing people's reaction on Twitter and all of that social media we do, which is, that's one thing. It's really great, but actually being here, and I'm like, I like to see people. If nothing else, I like to talk on the phone to somebody. I don't like to do this so much, and then here I am writing, of course. But this is what it's all about, and people's reactions, and that you show up at a bookstore for some guy who's never written a book before. It's overwhelming. It's pretty awesome, and thank you. That's all I really got to say about that whole deal. Yeah. The girl with the flower in her hair wants to know. Unexpected. I kind of dig that. You guys, your sisters?
Twins.
You're twins. Okay. Flower and the non. Okay, gotcha. Well, obviously Green Bay's. The Green Bay and New England. Right? It could. I mean, that seems like the two obvious, but I'm an underdog guy, so I really do like the Lions.
Yeah.
I mean, come on. It's been. I don't know if they'll do it this year because they're a team that's not used to being in the postseason and all that kind of stuff. My Seahawks went in the postseason a few years ago, a few times in a row. Then they got to the Super Bowl, and they were killing Pittsburgh, really. But when the ref thing happened and all that, they just didn't know how to handle it, and so Detroit might go through some. I'm not an expert. I'm a sports fan writing for ESPN. I'm not a sports writer, really. But great. That's awesome you asked that question. I started writing, and I was like, fashion. We wore the same clothes, and they got beat up, and we didn't change our clothes. So it wasn't about fashion. It was about the underbelly, like what my Hollywood in 1987 was. And so I wrote about this sort of seedy, dark thing, and I can't say some of the things, we've got some little fellas right here. But I wrote about those things, and they liked it. And the editor from Seattle Weekly, I'm from Seattle, there was he called me, there was a Thursday column that came free. Somebody had left or whatever. And he offered it to me. I said, oh, I don't know, man, a column, like people are going to read me every week. And I tried it the first week, I was terrified. And second week, I was a little less terrified. Third week, I started to find a voice, and so a guy at Seattle Weekly gave me a gig, and then from that I started writing for Playboy, and I had 2 columns a week suddenly, and I'm touring, and I start looking at things as events in my life as a columnist, like, oh, that's funny, I'm going to observe that. Just started. I was given a gig, and things happen in life, like what I ever thought I was going to be a columnist, and then sit down and I have no great need to tell my Guns N' Roses story. I had I'll be fine not telling a story, but writing, on the other hand, and telling how I fell into all the traps and stuff and things that were my life for a while. That was interesting to me, and that's it, yeah. And then, yes.
Just given how central the city of LA is to the whole story of Guns N' Roses, I'm just kind of curious as to how do you walk around this city in like a constant state of flashback, like looking at where you are now and like your beginnings here with the band? Like it seems like on every corner in Hollywood there's like another like incredible Guns N' Roses story that like is
Probably
like,
there is.
Are you just like tripping out all the time?
Yeah, if I were to write like another book, like all the incredible, like yeah, Guns N' Roses tour through Hollywood, like that would be pretty cool. And I live when I'm here. I live on the other side of the hill. I think I might do it purposely.
Right.
I really do. And so, and you know, where I rehearse is over in North Hollywood, so I'm kind of over there. But that also brings up Guns N' Roses stories to me. And but being over here, yes, I've had this weird relationship with this town because I'm not from here. Our band was at first sort of, people couldn't figure us out in this town, but like selling out the whiskey for our first ever sellout. Well, we sold out the whiskey in Los Angeles, and 3 of us were not from here. So we felt like as we started to conquer this town, you know, we felt like we were outsiders doing it. And I feel like I'm still consider myself a Seattleite, but Hollywood is, in LA is definitely my second home. And but do things bring it up? Yeah, they do. I'll go up, especially in some of the more
Just right around here.
right around here, and then there's some crappy lanes
I know the stories.
down there. Yeah, that I go, oh yeah. I got earmuffs. Corey and I wrote some songs, and I'm telling you, these songs were like, whoa, that's like a Bruce Springsteen song. And like, that song would be huge on the radio. And but we don't try to write commercial songs. That's the thing. Like I write everything but commercial songs. But suddenly, like we're writing these things, and we're humming these. We both like ABBA and like weird. And yeah, so we wrote these really, really great songs, and he and I will do something eventually, and maybe not in a not so distant future.
Yeah.
And I hope, yeah, with you, I'm a big fan. I'm with you. I'm a big fan of Corey Taylor, and not just a rock dude and a Slipknot guy. And
Wonderful human being.
Yeah, just a good dude.
Thank you.
Your cover.
In the Alps,
Boom.